The Hangout is now live on air. Hello, good evening. It's Sunday, it's 8 o'clock. It's obviously time for some Doctor Who. Joining me tonight is Chris in the little box down the bottom there. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
There we go. Tonight we are doing Doctor Who and the Sea Devils. And of course, next week we're doing Image of Fendal, which last week I called Curse of Fendal. But that's mainly because I think Image of Fendal sounds like a Doctor Who catalogue where he orders his clothes from. It does though, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Where do you get those shoes? Oh, Image of Fendal. Really? What are you wearing? Top shop? Image of Fendal.
Plus sizes because they'd be bigger on the inside. But
exactly, yeah. That's it. Yeah, forget Giacomo. So yeah, this week we are doing Doctor Who and the Sea Devils. This is with John Pertwee, Roger Delgado. There is a lot of special features on this. Surprisingly, it doesn't seem like that much, but there's 8mm film footage from the Navy. There's the commentaries. There's the radio time billings. The original continuities. The general stuff, trailers and things like that. And obviously the making of. What I like with the Sea Devils, before we get into actually watching this, is that, first of all, Roger Delgado, my favourite master. I've always thought of him as this gentleman that was a gentleman assassin. This butcher, but one which didn't forget that he had manners. He was polite. He seemed a little bit more well thought than later masters. Later masters, particularly towards the end of Anthony Ainley's run. Anthony Ainley had a real up and down with his master. He went from being quite villainous to pantomime villain, to quite villainous to pantomime villain, to one of the Thundercats.
No, he didn't.
And then, of course, you have the other masters then in Eric Roberts and John Sim, Derek Jacobi, and then, of course, Missy. I don't really feel like the other masters really grasped what Delgado had started with. It was always a Professor Moriarty to Sherlock Holmes type of relationship. And there's something about the relationship between John Pertwee and Roger Delgado that really clicks. And you've got to remember, this was 1972. So this was 26 years ago? About 40. Bloody hell. Oh, Jesus Christ.
47.
Yeah, 47.
47.
Jesus. And I've got to say it, right? I know we talk sometimes about, how they've decided to do remastering and things for episodes and put them onto Blu-ray. This one was recorded a lot on location. There was a lot of Super 16 being used for this episode. This would look stunning remastered. I actually took images from the DVD and actually just color graded them. Not trying to do anything fancy with them, just literally where it was a little bit of green in the film, and I just took that out and just put the blacks back to black, and it just looks amazing. That's one of the. This is one of those Doctor Who's that really does look spectacular, because it's all shot on location, and it really pays off. It really does pay off. You can see the difference between the 1980s Doctors and the Pertwee era, because a lot of the Pertwee era was shot on location. But you can see where the switch around became, because at one point it was cheaper to shoot on location than it was to shoot in the studio. And then it eventually flipped, and it was cheaper to shoot in the studio than it was to shoot on location. And this back and forth relationship, it affected the quality as far as I'm concerned, because if you could shoot it on location, you should have shot it on location. And this one really does. This is a big episode. It didn't start out that way. The episode became a big episode because they blew the budget on trying to get the Sea Devils to look right. And if it weren't for the fact that the Royal Navy stepped in, it probably wouldn't be as an impressive episode as it is. The other thing about this as well, this is probably the most action Doctor Who episode they've ever made. There's everything in here. This is full on James Bond meets Doctor Who, and I've got to be honest. I don't know if it's underrated. I think it's definitely one of the overlooked. I think if you're gonna talk about one of the, I mean, people talk about some of the episodes from the Pertwee era, and quite often a lot of people will say, "Oh, you know, the best one's Inferno," and they've got a hell of a case there because it's a cracking episode. But this one is a great deal of fun, and again, it doesn't get enough of a mention as far as I'm concerned. Do you have any memories of the Sea Devils, Chris?
Well, it came out the same year I was born, so I didn't watch it the first time round. I've only seen it a couple of times, to be honest. But as you say, it's a classic episode. I mean, my favourite Pertwee episode is Spearhead from Space. I just really like the way they brought him in. But this,
I think this might change your opinion. I don't like to say that often, right? About different episodes, but I think you're going to have a great deal of fun with this episode because this is a lot of what I think is somewhat wrong with Doctor Who now, and not just now. I mean, we're talking since it came back. You know, I don't feel that there's been a bigger production for Doctor Who than this. This is as big as it gets. We're talking. You know, there's sea forts in this. There's speedboat chases. There's the Navy on maneuvers. There's guns firing. There's unit. There's all sorts going on, and it's just a very big production. And it's again, I don't think that there's something about the scale of this episode. That's the thing. There's something about the scale of it that I don't think the others have come close to. And again, even in the modern ones, I think even in the modern ones haven't quite grasped the epicness of being able to go on more than one location. Then, because they tend to film in one place and that's pretty much it for the episode. Whereas with this episode, they shot in Portsmouth. They shot in Iceland. No, Isle of Wight, I mean. They shot in... Oh, God, I mean, they shot all over the place. And in the studio as well. So they really, got about... They actually did what you should do with a big production and find the best places to shoot and then just, make it as big and as epic as you possibly can. And this is John Pertwee having the time of his life. And John Pertwee is known for being the action doctor. It's kind of this episode which kind of just sort of staples that in and says, that this guy is the one that doesn't mind punching people. He's the you get the Venusian Aikido and sword fighting. I mean, there's every sort of everything in this. So I don't know if you've got anything that you'd like to say before we make a start.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing this again. Well, I know it's quite action packed, as you say, but it's been a long while since I last watched it.
The thing is, it is a 6 episode. I think this is one of those stories which I think could probably benefit from a re-edit. Like it would probably benefit from actually editing it down a little bit, maybe getting it down to say 5 episodes or maybe 4, which means you'd be cutting out a lot. Don't get me wrong, you'd be cutting out a lot, but I think for a modern audience, would prefer it as a 4 episode as opposed to a 6. Because because there is quite a bit of space going on in these episodes, because obviously they're making up a 6-week run, right? So that's one of the problems with this episode. I did mention the color grading earlier on and why I think it would be of benefit, in particular to this, and that is, if I was to ask you what color the Sea Devils are, what would you say?
Well, they're a kind of browny colour, aren't they?
They are an umber, and the problem with the color of the Sea Devils is that in the episode they look green, and that's nothing more than just look. The vast majority of this, it's not a problem. It's an issue with the film. It's an issue with. It's not actual camera problem. The when they load the film, there was a problem with different sorts of film. So if you look at like the Panavision film from the 1960s, there's a lot of red in the film, which is why the original series Star Trek looks the way it does. Why people don't really look like their natural skin tones. It's because of the layering of the film, and there's a lot of red in it. In this one, there's a lot of green in it. So when you see things like the Sea Devils and that, the tones don't quite mesh up. They're a little bit over the place, and you can see it in the Doctor's. If you see stills from the gallery and even the 8mm, you'll see that the lining inside the Doctor's jacket, the red lining, looks almost orange, and that's there's nothing wrong with the lighting or even the way that it's been exposed. It is literally the fault of the film. And that's why I think it could really benefit from a bit of remastering and a bit of color grading. Again, I wouldn't go anything nuts. I wouldn't do anything crazy. Just bring the colors back to natural. Anyway, I've got the handset ready. So I don't know if you're ready to go, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's cue this up. And 3, 2, 1. And we are off. Ever since you mentioned that Darth Vader thing, I can still see it.
Well, sorry, not sorry.
I never noticed it before. The Sea Devils by Malcolm Hulkey. Just knock it a little bit. So, fun little fact for you. They're dealing with the Navy here. They're dealing with nuclear submarines and things like that. When the BBC made this episode, they actually put it out on the TV, and then they got paid a visit by MI5. Because MI5 wanted to know how the hell they had the sonar frequency for a British nuclear submarine. And they didn't.
Oops.
Well, it was just shit. But the actual model of the submarine that they use in this is actually a model that they bought at Woolworths. What happened was that they didn't want to put the propeller from the model kit onto the model for the thing. So what they did was they found this old piece that they found out of a vacuum cleaner, and it just so happens that this thing had the same amount of blades as the propellers on a nuclear sub, and that's what produces the frequency of the sonar frequency to identify the ships. Apparently, I don't know for sure, but that's what I've been told. Here we go. Nice, yeah. Red over the doors ripped off.
Hey, careful.
So already we're into, minutes into the show, and they've already gone over 3 locations and a studio shot. I'm back to the studio. Good looking sets, not bad. Old-fashioned lighting though, because of the way it's been shot. So the lights are way up in the ceiling.
My name's Josephine Black.
My God, Katie Manning was stunning in her day.
Yeah.
She was genuinely a little fox.
I can see that picture of her with a Dalek right now.
Oh, she was a girl of the '60s. Fair play to her. It definitely shows. I even like the fact that they even referenced it when she came back in the Sarah Jane Adventures. She was quite of a hippie character.
Has he tried to hypnotize any of the guards? I thought you all our men have completely immune. Is he sure? Probably. Angel here. Sent that new man.
I'm really curious as to who that's a photograph of in the background on the shelf.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. It looked like Terry Thomas and Joyce Grenfell from where I was sitting.
Oh, CSO. So you see a little bit of remastering, and this would be.
Mr. French answered me, sir. To say point your book changed. Thank you, but I finished it. Right answer.
You can see, looking at Roger Delgado, though, why they picked Anthony Ainley with a goatee.
Oh yeah, but I mean Delgado just there's something about this guy that's suave. I mean, just this fashion that he's got for the master. It's you can almost see why they went for sort of the overblown, but it's just reined in. It's really he's stylish as hell, even for today.
The definitive master.
Yeah, for me he is. Yeah, I mean, like I grew up with Anthony Ainley as the master. But when on the odd days, on the Sundays and that, when they would show the old classic Doctors and Delgado would come on, it was just like, there's something about this guy. This guy is suave. This guy is dangerous, and you know he's dangerous, but you can't put your finger on it. The relationship here as well is very reminiscent of the Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen relationship with Professor Xavier and
Magneto.
It's very similar.
Seems to be looking after you very well. Oh yes, I want everything I want. Except for course.
A good little follow-up story as well to have him be held prisoner from the previous episode where he was arrested. Yeah.
I wish it's something like this here. Surely you don't like me. No.
That's okay.
You consider my life.
The working title for this story was The Sea Silurians.
That's a very incredible. After all, I do have a great deal to repent to. Nice. That's why you tell me the whereabouts of your plans. So that you could use it in order to escape from this planet, Doctor? Or so that I can make absolutely certain that you can't? Oh, I'm sorry. That is too much to risk.
Yes.
Ask a silly question.
And of course, oh God, I think we don't really see his TARDIS. I don't think we see his TARDIS now until at the end here, I don't think.
And the first time we see his TARDIS when it's like a Roman pillar. Is that the first time we see it?
No, I don't. No. I think. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to have a look. Masters TARDIS. Let's have a look here. Yeah, it's gone. During his Earth-based vendetta against the Third Doctor, the Master used the TARDIS with a Mark II demutation circuit. Oh, it's Terror of the Autons. By the looks of it. And his TARDIS looked like a blue van.
Don't underestimate the Doctor.
Again, he's just got a fabulous look.
Vanishing ships, all wild so seem particularly interesting when I mention it. You did what? Jackie? No harm done, surely.
I like the fact that he's the prisoner of this place, but he's in total control.
Yes, I'm sure that's possible. Of course. But if you'll excuse me.
Again, so if you look at this shot here, as Pertwee's walking away there, if you look at the black slate on the roof, there's a very green hue over the whole thing, and that's what I was talking about with the film. It's just the way the film's layered, and it could really do with a bit of cleaning up and remastering just to really sort of bring the colours back to normal. And you get obviously like anti-aliasing and brings some of the grain out.
You want to go over to the naval base, then you make your own arrangements. Yes, well, you're probably right. Look, what would you like to go see what's happening with my young friend? She said she was going to go buy some picture postcards.
But you can see, like, every time they go on location, how much better the quality of it looks compared to how it looks when they're in the studio.
Yeah, you've always been able to tell the difference, particularly with 70s, 80s, and 90s television. The difference between the grain on location and studio.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, back then they started using the EMI 2001 cameras for the studios, and I mean, they were good cameras. There was nothing really, but they were tape cameras, and they were limited to, I think it was 720 by 576 resolution. Whereas, to be honest, if you're shooting in Super 16, it's pretty much, Super 16 is on the upside of. It's a bit bigger. It's about like 2.5K, so it's bigger than 1920 by 1080. I mean, you could probably do a finer scan and blow the picture up even further, but that you'd still be getting a lot of grain in that then. but due to the way that this is filmed on the my cameras, you can see that the whites are a little bit blown out. You get a little bit of flare and a little bit of anti-aliasing.
Treating it like Triton Beach. Give it a master dance. Captain Hart here. I don't know whether you noticed that there seems to be a stray civilian chugging into the base. Get on with it, will you?
He's making straight for life.
Yes. But yeah, I would love to see what this would look like with a new, clean, fresh print. Those are actually real sailors. They didn't have any money for extras, so they asked them maybe to sort of help volunteers, and they continually volunteered.
Thank you, Liz. Look after it, all right?
Don't worry. I'll bring it back just as soon as I find the doctor.
And of course, stuntman Stuart Fell was the guy that was the stunt double for Katie Manning. I like
Oh, I
this.
forgot about the bit with the clangers.
I like this. And do you know why I like this? It's because there's a callback much later on in the 2005 reboot where the Master is watching the Teletubbies. Brilliant stuff. Just had a little moment where he takes a deep breath, like, oh god, this guy thinks I'm serious. But yeah, it's nice the fact that when the John Sim comes in as the Master, he's watching the Teletubbies, and it's a nice little sort of parallel. No, it's no man's fault. There it is. That is Noah Hotel. I don't know how much it costs to stay there. I think it's like about 200 quid for 3 nights.
It's not actually that bad.
No. The middle of it, the fort. It's like, I don't know if you ever saw the show Fort Boyard, but it's very similar to that. In that it's like this sort of big donut shape. And what they've done with that as a hotel is they put a glass ceiling over the centre. So there's this huge glass ceiling right over the top of the middle of the fort. It looks like a Bond villain base. It's proper, real good looking place.
My ability to arrange for an official visit to normal channels. I was dropped in periodic impulse. Since I heard about that childlike boat.
I still think that when it comes to all the Doctors, I think Pertwee's the one that just had this great ability to work with props. He just seemed very. He seemed to be able to use props very, very well. Like it looks like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, as we spoke about when he was doing the chemistry stuff in Spearhead from Space.
Yeah, exactly. He's very, very good. He's very good at talking to people. Was like Blair out. He's not turning to talk to these people. He's paying attention to what's on the board. He's still talking to them, but he's not doing this thing whereby he's looking and going, oh, yeah, and then turning back. And then he's concentrating and still talking to them out the side.
Come on. You can't lose anything.
But yeah, he's very good. He's very articulate with the props.
A hands-on actor, you might say.
Yeah. He's out of the Doctor. He's the one who I find is the most believable at when it comes to fiddling with gadgets and looking at things. He seems like he's really looking at it. You know, he seems like he's really sort of working it out.
Going to send up an express. You never know.
Don't think we're ever going to catch him doing the supersonic pose.
He does one later on. Not quite in the whole, but he does the.
Yeah, notice you said one.
Oh yeah, he would have sonicked his way out of that island. He would have just parted the sea with a sonic, or hardened the water.
What are you doing? I'm unlocking the shore.
Yeah, exactly. I think the set design did a pretty good job with constructing a well-worn site, a well-worn environment for these people. Again, it comes back to the fact that it's studio lighting. I think if it had been lit a little bit differently, it goes back to the fact that these studio lights they don't light sets the same way today as they did back then. You know, these lights are 25 feet off the floor, shining down into the set, whereas these days you can pretty much have the lights in the set built in. It's a big difference between using digital cameras to the tape cameras that they had back then.
I suggest that you take your heads along to your own people at unit and put the whole thing on an official level. Operation must be. Operation I have official instructions. Yes. Once it flows, if one can believe the history books. History books. Operation Nelson's personal friend.
I wish we'd seen it.
Great. No chances, man. It's a hatter.
How do we get out of the call?
So yeah, lots of good broad. I mean, you've got to remember about when they were filming this, they had a certain amount of film. They had a certain amount of There's only so many times that Stuart fell going up that ladder there. So yeah, they had a certain amount of times. They could only do a certain amount of takes. The weather wasn't on their side. I think they've done a pretty good job of matching continuity here. But one thing you might have noticed already with this episode that's different to most episodes is that we were, I don't know where we are in this episode. The time indexes.
I've got 22 minutes just shy of.
Yeah, just about 22 minutes. We haven't stopped moving. Not once. We've gone from one location to another location to another location, and it's moved about and about and about.
It's getting dark. Let's get out of here.
You ain't going nowhere, mate.
Yeah.
message back to Sean.
Yes. But I think set decoration done a pretty good job of this to make it look as, because I mean, like, you've got to remember that when they built this was all brand new. So to beat it up and to make it look like, you know, the plates have been worn, and there's a lot of work.
Let's get out of here, please.
Yes. Good first episode. Just banging along. Absolutely banging along. What do you think of the first
I think
episode that you've seen it?
yeah, that was great. I do like the movement. I was just thinking. I think the version I've got is an old digital copy downloaded way before 2005, and I think mine might be VHS. And my Sea Devil had a brown head but green arms, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it's again when you see that, that's the studio shot, not film footage. So the film it's when you see it later on, they change color. They just change. It's just a fault of the technology at the time. But I mean, look, hey, there's very little in the way of color correcting that you need to do, because quite honestly, the people that worked on this knew what they were doing. So
Yeah,
any colorization that you would do would be very minor. It would make the color pop and correct the color back to, again, what it's for, color correction. You make the blacks go back to black. You make the the reds to red, and you eliminate essentially the fade effect on the screen, and you don't oversaturate it, but it would work so spectacularly for this. So yeah, this who is this guy? Let's look. Yeah, fans voted this 46 in the countdown of the 103 Doctor Who stories post Gallifrey. Really, number 46? This is deserving of more than that.
these lists are subjective, though, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Your top 10 is going to be different to my top 10. They're bollocks, really, aren't they?
I can understand. Look, if I was going to give my two top version of Jock Kirby stories, Inferno is still going to be number one, because I really do like that story. But this is going to be a very close second. Let's just go back. So I just want to have a quick look at the cast. I've switched my browser out to Chrome on this, so it's actually a little bit better. I was using Google before now. It is. See, he really looks like he knows what he's doing. It's true.
What's that character's name?
I don't know. I'm actually curious. I like the weapons as well. I've always thought those weapons would look so, because they're so unconventional. I really like the fact that they this big sort of disc. Sea forecast. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Well, there's something I'd forgot about this episode. The crazy electronica music and those tilted camera angles when they're running through it. I forgot about that. That really adds an air of claustrophobia to it, I find.
I tell you what's good is that there's a little bit of reverb on the music.
Yeah.
So it makes it sound hollow. It gives you this sort of well, again, they're running on these sorts of hardened concrete sets and locations, and it adds to it. Look, yeah, nice little effect here. This is just melting polystyrene. Yeah, that'll do it. Every day. 1.21 gigawatts into your ass. So if you look when they opened the door there, you can actually see where they sprayed acetone onto the door. Acetone will eat polystyrene like nobody's business. There's a trench yard. Naval base sailor uncredited. I think that's him. Peter Brace. Is that us? Ron Tingley. Yeah, you've got this. This is what I want about with this production here. This isn't stock footage. This is footage that they recorded for Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's great when they do stuff like that.
So the science here that he's using, the idea of changing the receiver into a transmitter, was actually something that I learned when I was a kid from this show. And when we done this rugby event years ago, they needed to do the announcements, and they didn't have the equipment. And so what we done was we took an amplifier and took a pair of stereo headphones, took the headphone off, and plugged the stereo lead headphone into the microphone jack, and used that as the transmitter, and it worked perfectly as a microphone. And that was from this episode, and I was, oh God, 12, 13 at the time.
Blimey, I did something like that with a pair of stereo headphones before.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have known to have done it if I hadn't seen this episode. Wow. I don't know what got above himself, but yeah, still hit like.
Hello, Mayday. Mayday. This is Oscar Bravo Tango 74. We are strictly.
I'm pretty sure this was your 9-volt battery plugged into that, but never mind.
Yeah, they probably could have just tucked that under his hand, but never mind.
I don't know though. I got a feeling that the way that's been cannibalized, that perhaps It might be dangerous because it looks like it is a piece of radio working technology. They just stripped the casing off.
Hello, speaking. Who are you? Yes. It's myself. That's remarkably efficient piece of work.
But see what I mean? He's very good with his hands and props. He makes it believable. He looks right in that hat. They did a good set of casting for this as well, because the people that they've cast as sort of he's a believable sort of Navy commander. I know it's sort of like they cast him the type, but it really works for this. You know, there's these people with oh, there it is. The brown with the missing doors. Hey. I'm not sure.
There's nothing wrong with casting to type, as long as it's the type that people expect.
Yeah, but I mean, he does have an air of authority about him. There is a stamp of, like, you could cast him as a manager, you could cast him as a soldier, you could so they've put him in a very good position, casting him that way. And there you go, yeah. Delgado as well. Look at the suave. You could put that man in a potato sack, he'd look suave. Apparently, whenever he was on set, on location, the naval soldiers all saluted him all the time, regardless of whether or not they were shooting or not.
We're not dealing with animals on the planet. We're dealing with intelligent beings. Why don't you do it? Captain Hart is likely to be very busy. Yes,
Yeah, it's a nice little character moment.
What I'll do is I'll just walk by, sound him out. See, time's getting soaked. I'm gonna get cranky.
I just have a quick look here. Oh, it wasn't long after this, really. That I mean, the Terror of the Autons after this, before when he passed away.
Special order. Yes, the items in this bag here are defective. You realize we're carrying defective supplies here? Sorry, sir. I see your pass. Captain Hart, right now, yeah? No, right. I see, sir. Well, then you won't mind if I just double check the window. What exactly are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything, sir. Just a very...
Yeah, Frontier in Space was his last. I don't know why they stopped this with the Master for the new ones. I mean, it is one of the Time Lord's powers, so I don't know why it's even a problem. Maybe they needed somebody who was convincing enough to pull it off. He seems a bit of a funny-duddy type character.
He plays pompous Pratt well, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's a bit of pottering around. He seems to do it very well. I'm trying to find the Colonels. I can't find him on here.
I suggest that you order a security to meet you. This is all about this plan. Just seen a very dangerous plan on your base. I'm being very patient with you.
A quick look.
Back in the Citroen.
Clive Morton died 1975. Yeah.
Taking a quick citizens, doing some special order. That's what he hit me.
Good grief. Well, he's got bloody hell. I look at Clive Morton's career. Good God. He is entertainment. I don't know.
Yes, I can say.
That's unbelievable. Let's keep moving forward. 137 credits. Unbelievable. It's like, wait, he's got a familiar face. No shit. He's been in everything.
Bloody hell, that is a hell of a list.
It's unbelievable. It's crazy. I'm using window blinds there.
Well, he may be here now, but half an hour ago he was at the naval base.
Incredible career. Yeah, he was in the Navy lock with John Burby.
And he was married to Fanny Rowe as well.
Yeah. Unbelievable career. That's caught me by surprise, that have. Yeah. Now we know one of the. Where's it to?
Oh, it could only have been a fleeting glimpse. Can this mistake? They don't believe me. A doctor. In that case, suggest a doctor that should come down here and see what's the good.
So for the people that's wondering, Barry that's produced it. Film edited by Martin Day. Costume design Maggie Fletcher. Makeup Sylvia James.
All right. I suppose it was a fry.
So Martin Day, now visual effects by Peter Day, so I'm wondering if they're related.
I think there's something wrong here. The grill seems to be blocked.
See what I mean? He's this real suave guy, but he's got this touch of brutality to him. And it's a touch of brutality that I don't think other masters have had. There's a viciousness missing. I think the only person I felt it with was Derek Jacobi, where he had that electric lead.
Yeah, he's got a real air of malevolence about him.
There's a cruelty there, and I don't feel it from the other masters. Oh. Do I bottle of water? So, yeah, this set design is very well put together. I'm not so keen on the window blind TV set because that's something that would need fixing. What the hell they thought they were doing with that, I don't know. Let's have a look here. Production was designed by Tony Snowden. I'm on here. Great stuff.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. That's got no problem.
You've got to remember as well, they had less than a day to do this.
Exercise makes me hungry. Is it enjoy your meal, Doctor?
So the production designer who worked on this has worked on another Doctor Who episode which also had another great production design look, and that was Vengeance of Varos. And also The Sunmakers with Tom Baker. This guy knows his shit.
How many times have I told you? Balance you with good.
He says as he just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
What a cliffhanger. Good. So yeah, Tony Snowden, who worked on this episode for the production design, done obviously like done all the sets and everything, but it's the intricate things that he's put into it that really pay off. Like if you watch look at the sets carefully, you'll see that there's alarm bells in places and there's all these little notices all around the place. This guy knows how to put together a set and to make it look like a real location. The only thing that's really let it down again is the lighting and the cameras being used, and that's because we typically associate it with those cameras with studio and the lighting with studio lighting. If you weren't aware or as exposed to it from a British, if you hadn't grown up in the sort of 70s, 80s, 90s, you'd probably be less aware of it as a thing. The Doctor Who logo that still gets used today. This guy's worked on it on so many things. I'm going to go back to Rego Breaker, Z Cars, Parkinson. What was the last production was done? 1986. It was Lovejoy.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. That's government property.
I mean, you've got to respect these two guys. So, Pertwee was always very physical anyway. But I mean, they literally had maybe a day to put it together, and the stunt team to work with to really get this sort of fight worked out.
It looks like they spent ages rehearsing that. It's so well choreographed.
Well, I mean, they would always use the Havoc stunt team, and they just
How many times have I told you?
you wouldn't get it. You 3 days filming a fight scene now, and it probably wouldn't even look as good.
I was defending myself. This man came here to kill me. He's a good at those players on Doctor. Only a complete fool of such an accusation. I suppose in your case, it was meant to be like that. Take him to my office. Sir. Continue with this ridiculous charade. Take care of losing this time.
Well, that's okay. So Malcolm Clark and Ron Grainer. So Malcolm Clark has worked on previous Doctor Who's as well,
The point is, what do you do?
and of course Baronets and Terrence Dix.
Nothing to worry about.
Now that location, apparently, when they left, they accidentally forgot a couple of the things to take with them. They actually left a Sea Devil and a lot of the signs that they had made for the show. It's actually just a mansion, like a castle. They must have had a discount on shutter blinds. Well, come on, they're using shutter blinds not just for the windows, but for the TVs as well. They just painted them sulphur orange.
That soldier in there with him, that guard, he's almost like a bloody Alton anyway.
Yeah.
No such thing. Master knocked that guard out himself, as you very well know. And as for this stupid pass of yours, I believe it's a forgery. That's absolute rubbish. Anybody at unit headquarters will vouch for me. But crystals are not allowed to make telephone calls. Which is why you allow Master to use them like this. All right, keep them away. You're jeopardizing your entire career. I have nothing further to say to you.
Yeah, look how well this set has been built.
Whatever he's told you, it's all lies. You'll be well treated as long as you behave yourself. This is no ordinary prison. If you attempt to escape, the guards will shoot and kill you.
Like, this couldn't have been a cheap set. Like, even all the doors, all the filigree, and just all the trimming.
Then fight her now.
Yeah, if you're
She's
looking
not
at
got
it,
the best camouflage there, has she?
no, she stands on quite a bit. But yeah, if you look at the footage there, you'll see like there's like a blue wash over the castle wall, so the stonework doesn't really stand out. But if you digitally color correct that, it looks gorgeous.
By now, it's still not running straight. Get on the ground. Guards won't pick her up anymore. All right, slow down, Mom. Nevertheless, we need to work very fast now. Chancellor, I need your fullest cooperation. Tell me. You'll secure yourself.
Yeah, if you look like when we talk about set dressing here, if you look at what's inside the master's quarters, there's a lot of these little sort of tribal heads everywhere, and it's just a little thing for. It's like his influences come from all over the place.
But I do think this is getting a bit out of hand, sir. Ships have vanished, it seems. I'm well aware of that. The exact 70 in the last 10 years. But we lost 3 all in the same area in the last few weeks. We'll do what we can to find your seed. I want you to signal me a full report the moment you see sir. Yes. All right. Carry on. And good luck.
No, then I'm trying to find.
Sir,
Yes.
I was just wondering about this grant to the doctor.
That's not him. That guy is. Oh, yeah.
Time does hang heavy. Yes.
Bloody hell. See, he's changed costume. Look how sharp his suit is. I want a suit like that. No. Like, that's a sort of a suit that you could wear anywhere, right? That's sort of a. You could be in a restaurant. You could be in anywhere wearing a suit like that.
Very sharp.
How much have you told? Everything. Send them a full report as soon as Miss Grant spotted you every day. And yet you came back here to investigate. You know, I wonder whether you are taking one. You'll find out soon enough. You realize, of course, how would you explain that away, Colonel Fletcher? I'll be in a position to attack you, however. You think I really care what Fletcher thinks? Whatever you're up to, you'll need Fletcher's cooperation.
Any idea what the name of the character was that was talking to Captain Hart?
No, I didn't.
I'm planning to contact bacteria. Why do you want to contact them? Those reptiles don't have much rules of this earth. My help.
There's a good little lead as well for, you know, what later happened with the Matt Smith series. Yeah, can you see that footage now of the submarine, how purple it looks?
Yeah.
You could totally take that out and make it look, put that back to you know, true colour.
He said they'd both gone back to London.
Oh, I see.
They didn't bring the Land Rover back, sir. Colonel Trench said we took a taxi to it.
Better send someone to collect it.
They didn't go to Land Rover.
Taxi, they couldn't get the Land Rover.
Well, go on.
But sir, surely they would come back here before leaving the island.
So let's have a quick look here. Yeah, it would look so good just to give this a little bit of love and affection. The Seaford setting was later changed to the script. Malcolm Hulk had originally written this material for an oil rig, but Michael E. Bryant was unable to obtain permission to film on one. Yeah, because oil rigs aren't going to let you film because they're going to have to stop making oil, and that's expensive.
Pleasure of seeing you. Human race, which you are so.
Barry Letts regarded this as one of his most successful serials, and he produced and credited much of this dynamic direction to Michael E. Bryant.
Captain Hart's car has been spotted heading for the main gate. You must have got something up. What am I to do?
I'm gonna believe at some point, yeah, they reacquired or repurposed old sets to build these. I can't believe they would have spent out for it.
That would be the best way to save costs.
I would have thought they must have had, like, you know, a church set or something. Because there's a lot of specific sets that they had to build for this, and you don't get a lot of reuse. No idea what she said. But yeah, you get
Was it a film or a book?
yeah, you get sets that get used, and they don't get much of a look in, like the Seafort set and things like that. But they were quite large sets, you know, for what they ended up getting used for. But again, it goes back to making this thing look more epic than it was. And again, you notice that a lot of this is shot in mid. No, there's not much shot in the way of close up. At least not with the location, anyway. When you get the studio, even then, yeah, I mean, even in the studio, there's a quite a bit of there's not much in the way of close-ups.
Apart from the film grain, the transition between the location and the studio is actually pretty good.
It's not bad, but again, one of the identifying markers is the lighting, because obviously on a location you've either got natural daylight or you can't get lights up that high into the ceiling because the ceiling is right there. So they've got, but with the studio lights, one, they've got multiple lights on there to light this flat and even as possible, and they're way up in the ceiling, so it lengthens the shadows. Yeah. Jo Grant was very proactive for a companion, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. She wasn't really a screamer much either, was she?
No. I was just like thinking of Jo compared to like. I mean, if you look at the most useless companion in Mel, Jo Grant is way ahead, and I know like a lot of people credit Sarah Jane Smith, but she's a precursor to Sarah Jane, and she's still very much. She's not a damsel in distress kind of character.
No one can see without a special pass. Completely incommunicado. Surely we can stretch the rules towards this. Well, all right, look. Seeing as you take a look at it. Thank you. Well, I suppose the doctor must have been wrong. Big Craig is over than me. I'm from the one. No, I shouldn't go into it. Yes, of course. I realized how busy you are. Thank you. It's incredible to see you up. Right on.
There's the Woolworths submarine shot. Again, doesn't look bad for what it is.
I think the sets in this are quite phenomenal, really, considering when and how much it was made for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The production designer, Tony Snowden, he really went out of his way to nail it.
I think to handle Captain Martins.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm quite a fan of a film called Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus, and they didn't have a set like that for their submarines. I'm quite a fan of the Asylum films, and yeah, they don't look that good.
You will be responsible for exposing some of the most dangerous saboteurs this country. Find a grateful government. Wanting a reward, of course. With the duty. This doctor fellow. We're finished with it. Time being. By the way, what about the girl? Oh, Brown's very large, you know. Fully maritime, though she can't get away. All right. It might be better. Yes, of course. Must keep up appearances. What?
Yes. I like the fact that the master's plan in this is to be able to sort of get free and take over the world by handing over to the Sea Devils. It's quite an epic plan then to go from this small idea of just right. I'm not interested in dominating the planet. I'm interested in getting rid of the species and getting free. But that's a typical master plan, to go from I'm going to break free, but in doing so, I'm going to destroy the planet in the process.
Exactly. That's why you've got to find them. Absolutely nothing wrong with the engine. Still going down.
They're pretty good model shots for what they are.
It's not bad. They've done it the right way. If I was going to do it differently, I would have put a tank in front of the camera and actually put a tank of water in front of the camera, and then what you do then is just put a dye into the water, just so that you actually get some caustics of shafts of light, and you put light to the top, so you actually get these shafts of light shining down. It just makes it look a little bit more realistic. And I would have not lit the seafloor bottom. That would have just been lit by all the fall off lighting. I think they did it the right way though. They filmed it in super slow motion, overcranked the camera, lots of smoke. But yeah, if they put a tank of water just in front of the camera, just put a fan on the top of the water so it just got a little bit of a ripple to it, light on it, a little bit of green dye into the water, and just to make it look a little bit murky, and it would have sounded a lot better.
The puff of silt when it hits the deck's pretty good, I thought, on that as well.
Yeah.
We shall use it to trap them all together.
The device with a little dish going around. They didn't actually, due to the weather and things like that, they didn't actually have time to do a proper, to do the scene properly here. So when they do this abseiling bit here, you're going to see that they do this sort of jump cut. They sort of start an abseil and then they cut to them finishing the abseil. You never see them actually going down. And that's purely due to the fact that you can kind of see how blustery the weather is.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to shoot these on days when they just had the weather for it. Problems with shooting on location, really. That bloody car. To me, I see the thing is, I know what they were going for, but there's they could have made a little bit more of an effort. Yeah. So yeah, if you go back and look at the two shots there of the Sea Devils, the first one, the mask looks kind of orangey umber in tone. But if you look at the last shot there, the last shot goes back to looking more green, and it's just literally it's just a color correction problem. The BBC wish to acknowledge the fact that if built in Royal Navy, this episode would have been totally shite. It's true though. I mean, like when the Navy, when the BBC approached the Navy on this, they really mucked in, and it shows. I mean, you get these well, again the great shots of the helicopters and well the fact that they ended up using naval bases for this. The naval base that they shot at actually for this is no longer a naval base. It's I believe it's they've turned it into flats or something.
I thought you were going to say an IKEA or something then.
Probably is. I'm going to say I haven't looked it up. I don't know what it. I know it closed several years ago. Danger minefield as opposed to a pleasant minefield. Yeah. So watch this shot now. So look how reddish the hues are for the Sea Devil there. We're gonna get a close up now. Not this one. And watch the green and the tones when there's an extreme close up.
Are the creatures that have been described the ships? Are we dead vehicles? I have to tell the truth. If I had, would you believe me?
Not sure if he's even going to do it. It's just a slightly different edit to the previous. Yeah, you can see it over there. It's going back to being green.
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that as a weapon. He's not thinking. If he had thrown her through it, he'd been fine. I've got this is what I love with the sonic screwdriver. This sonic looks like it's an actual instrument. It looks like it's an actual piece of equipment. For some reason, there's a dead bird. But yeah, I do like that Sonic. I like that style. I wish they would have gone back to more of that with the Sonic. Yeah, he's not injured. He's just shit himself everywhere.
Caviared the place up.
Yeah.
You remember the guy in the orange jumper in the first episode who was trying to work out who the actor was?
Yeah.
That's Declan Mulholland, by the way. It's only taken me 4 episodes.
Wow.
Structures the service over an hour ago. If they haven't serviced by now, then something.
But yeah, I mean, strong casting in this, particularly like with the people that are supposed to be the naval officers.
All right, Simmons. On the seabed by some unknown force and intruders at something's happening to this door, sir. Getting lost. Right. Small arms.
Thank you, Picard. He is also bald.
Nah, he didn't pull his shirt down.
We get a very effective. The way that they handle the effects in this show.
If I had talked to you about sea monsters, would you have believed me? I've risked everything to help you. I had to. Sit down. Sit down.
For some reason, I appear to be missing cast members off my list.
What site are you using for your list?
IMDb.
Ah, see, I'm using the TARDIS fandom wiki.
Ah, right, okay. So look, yeah.
Which cast member are you looking for?
The guy who just called him number one over there. In fact, I'm looking for both of those guys, the two submarine officers.
Right. Well, there's a list on here of submarine crewmen.
Mm-hmm. I watched
Plenty
number one.
A lot of the beach centre, we completely lost track. Turns out if they reach the naval base, they'll harm everything. I knew there's a good chance that he would. Suppose he does.
Yeah.
He turns up here again. Just admit it. Turns out you are running a top security establishment. Your only responsibility is to what about the doctor?
So, just to give you some indication of how well this is edited and the sort of pace of this show, we're an hour and 20 minutes in, and it feels like nothing.
Yeah, you're bang on there. Really whizzes by this.
It's hammering along. It's jumping from one place to the other, to the other, to the other. It's just barreling the story along. Yeah, these two are the guys I'm looking for.
Shall we take a look at the Excuse me. Shall we try to? No. I'm going to do nothing at all. I want to know I'm sorry if I seem to be repeating myself, but I don't believe a word of it.
There's a little twitch that he puts in. Every time something happens that crosses his authority, is
Different this time. Everyone who saw it, even Churchyard in the dark.
I doubt it.
To see these creatures before.
I'm quite sure he has, Miss Grant.
They want to take over the earth. What will we take it over? And what they're going to do?
All right. Let me do this.
there. Listen, damn it.
Sex joke. This is all right. Let's forget about the sea then. What about treasure? I only have your word for that. All right. What about the pet of electronic spares? I was here at the time, yes.
Master stole those parts to make his coin.
His what? Well, developed somewhere to communicate. Probably,
The doctor's a bit of a bastard, really, isn't he?
I think number one is David Griffin.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing one here.
Yes, it's not.
Open up a new.
To abandon the search. They'll start again at first down.
Very well. How overdue is the summary? 4 hours. Never been century. You were bound to presume it was hostile. I believe the naval side of this operation got me, Doctor. And we're viewing the situation completely outside your own experience.
What did you say the guy's name was?
All right then, Doctor.
David Griffin, I think it is.
What do you want?
Uh,
Well, the key to this whole situation is the cast. I think we've got something.
Well, bloody hell. The submarine captain,
yes.
the main actor is Donald Sumter.
Submarine.
Oh God. Do you know how many David Griffins there are?
That's each for the cast. Perhaps you'll
Well, look for Donald Sumter then. You'll recognise that actor when you see him with no hair.
Yeah, he's bald. Yeah, yeah. Donald Sumter. Sound effects a little bit weird here. Yeah, the Game of Thrones, isn't it?
I believe so.
Okay.
just random feedback.
Donald Sumter.
I can't work. Sorry, okay.
Working on
He's been in quite a lot of Doctor Who stuff, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, first 2 series of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Wanda. Black Mirror. Again, I would definitely, we're talking Black Mirror, I would definitely love Charlie Brooker to take a crack at writing a Doctor Who. In fact, he's the guy I would put in charge.
Yeah, if he'd do it, it'd be good, but not sure it'd be tea time viewing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, Donald Sumter was the president in Hellbent.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Peter
He looked a lot different in 1972.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Holy shit, Crocodile Shoes was bloody that early.
This is a matter of national urgency.
Bergerac, boom.
But if there's any unnecessary labeling,
Cracking theme tune, boom.
Hi-ho, Silver.
Yeah. I got the full soundtrack of that somewhere.
Yeah, I definitely recommend looking at the TARDIS.fandom.com site, because that seems to have full of lists. We've been joined by Ian.
Oh, hello, Ian. Hello. So I will look at the. Pull that up. Yes, Ian has just joined us. Just to let you know, we are now an hour and 27 minutes in. The Sea Devils. Yeah, it's just barreling along. An amazingly paced series of episodes. That actor's reaction is amazing. It's literally jaw dropping. I want one of those props.
Well, you need a compact disc if you're going to make one.
Well, they were actually gas nozzles, I think they were, originally. Like it was showing the Dalek film from last week to my upstairs neighbours who really enjoyed it. Yeah, last week's was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a cracking fun with this one, but you forget how I mean, it's a silly film, but it's a really good bit of fun. I mean, we're talking silliness here. We're watching the Sea Devils. There's a lot of people walking around pretending to be giant turtles, way before the Teenage Mutant Ninja ones were.
I'll tell you one problem I picked up on with this episode, and that's not the episode, that's me personally, is every time I see one of the guards in the castle with their berets on and their moustaches, I expect one of them to say, "Good morning." I was pissing by the door when I heard two shits of a goon.
Yeah. For our actor's reaction to seeing the Sea Devils, though, it was so brilliant. It was brilliant. It was literally.
All he was missing was putting the fist up to his mouth.
Yeah. Filmed near me in Portsmouth. Yeah. We were talking about that earlier, whereby they filmed at No Man's Fort and at the naval base there, and on the Isle of Wight. So it's quite a good production, big production, much bigger than most Doctor Who's. In fact, I would say, because later on we're going to get like a hovercraft and I mean, spoiler alert, but boat chases, and it's a very big episode.
And I believe in episode 6 we get the famous line, don't we?
Oh, there's. I mean, again, it's this.
Submarine. Yes, it's moving towards moving at about 30 knots. Steady and compass zero.
I mean, gee, it just hasn't stopped. It's just been one after the other. And now they're back to location. That again is not Katie Manning in that boat. It's a bloke dressed as Katie Manning.
Oh, the life of a stuntman, eh?
Yeah.
See, Doctor Who's always been edgy.
Well, yeah, there's 8mm film footage recorded, which they actually got, which is on the DVD, whereby the Navy, one of the naval officers had a cine camera, and actually in colour, full 8mm of them filming this, basically, and him hanging out with the sailors, and because obviously Pertwee was a sailor. And there are a few people who were sailors working on this. So when they went back to dealing with the Navy, they knew all the terminology. They just sort of mucked in with the lads. Like it was very, and it was encouraging for the Navy as well to help get on board, because they knew that they were dealing with people that really knew what they were talking about. But again, good sets, good. They've used pretty much every piece of equipment they could find, either with an oscillator or something on it, so that they could make it look as authentic as possible.
Well, that's a pretty good set there at the moment, mate.
But I mean, the fact that the Navy gave him so much, like, oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can use that. Diving bell, yeah, go on. I mean, it is shocking the fact that they were able to convince the Navy to help them do so much. I mean, I suppose it's good promotion for the Navy, but still, I mean, can you imagine what this would have been like without if the Navy had said no?
Oh, it would have been loads of robot-style tanks, wouldn't it?
Oh, God. I mean, it's very successful cutting back and forth between these sets and the actual location. Yeah, the worst bit of set actually on this production is definitely the shutter blind TV sets. Very, very nice stuff. And it makes much a big difference to have this sort of authenticity. It gives a lot of credit to the show. What was I? The Master's spinny radar dish isn't a great prop either. Well, no, it's a prop with a little spinny dish on it. It's like the Doctor's one that goes ding. No, there are a couple of little things in this. But again, we were talking earlier about how Tony Snowden had put together these sets, and the great job he's done of actually making it work. And it makes, I think it makes a massive difference in scale. I mean, the other thing that would have made a big difference in the scale of the episode is if they had been consistent with the camera lenses. Like when they film in on the Super 16, they're probably using a 24mm lens. But when they get to the studio, they're just using the standard lenses for the camera, which would probably be somewhere between like an 18 to 55. Isn't not as bad as the TARDIS sniffer outer prop from the Time Monster. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get like dicky props with Doctor Who anyway. But I mean, the good thing with what happened with the Master was that they had previously dropped in lines in other episodes about him needing certain bits of equipment, so that when he does cobble this thing together, it looks like something that's cobbled together. It's a bit shitty, but it serves the purpose. I don't know what they would have done otherwise, other than just like a toolbox or something. Something with a few more lights on it, maybe. something that looked a little bit more sophisticated, perhaps. I mean, for me, if you're going to look at something that's, I mean, it's supposed to be like a sonar signal, so it's got this like small sort of trumpety thing on the top of it. Just send you a Persery versus Varden artwork I'm doing this week. Not quite finished yet. I will take a look at it. Let me just. Oh, very nice. Yes, that's very nice. I'm just.
Oh, that's blinding.
Yeah, that's very nice. I like that. Thanks, that, Ian. That's very nice. Huh.
Good morning, my dear. Everything out here? I suppose it's the right place for a sailor. What's your name? Walker. Parliamentary private. Chance for any breakfast?
I'll call the steward, sir.
Yeah, and good looking sets. Again, they've probably used every bit of broken piece of equipment and every dial and anything that they had in the BBC that looked like it. Because I'm guessing those pegboards there are probably what they would have normally used for operator switchboards.
Yeah, they do look like that.
But yeah, there's a lot of clocks and dials and. But I think they match in the looks of what they've had on set, on location. And it does help tie the two together and make a smoother transition. Still not as bad as a little green frog.
By quite a considerable amount.
It's 47 years later and they still haven't nailed it.
The apes that you left behind on the surface to die became man. You know history. Yes, I've encountered your people before. That is why I want to prevent a conflict only ending your destruction.
It's just one of them times where you've got to suspend disbelief. They're there to tell a story, aren't they?
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing is to remember, again, it is 47 years ago. Let's just be honest, like, it's what this back in the day must have been great. I don't think them speaking was great, but the look of them. But I do like the fact that the Sea Devils, the Silurians, I like the fact that they've got these different colonies so that they're not all identical. And again, it still works with the modern ones as well, why the modern ones look different. I would like them to take another crack at the Sea Devils law. I would like them to have another to make that. Rumors that season 12 will have more old monsters, Green Gilberts. I don't want them to. You see, the problem with them doing older. Yeah, the problem with them doing older monsters is the fact that anytime that they do older locations, or they tend not to revisit the older location, the older planets or whatever from the classic series. Bloody hell, he's going to be diabetic. What's some tea with your sugar?
But I bet he didn't do it by risking the lives of his own men.
Well, that's it, maybe, but our line is quite clear. Immediate retaliation with everything that we've got. I'm sorry, sir, I don't agree. Fucking material, Captain Hart. The order's already been given. Ships are converging on this area.
I don't know if you remember him, but the guy playing Captain Hart there, which is Richard. Oh, yeah. Oh, what have I done? That's Donald Sumter. Well, Edwin Richfield, I mean. Yeah.
I beg you not to despise me.
What, Edwin Richfield?
Yeah. So yeah, he was in the Twin Dilemma.
I came here to help you provide.
He was messed up.
Why should you need his help?
The big head slug.
I can now prepare it for you. Why provide more people only to have them killed? Let me try and negotiate that peace, as you did with Fullerton. The last time this man encountered your race, he took them. Humans destroyed them all. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a problem there. You can see the actor's lips moving the neck.
He admits it. Man is weak. No progress can be easy. Being man is not weak. He's only too proficient at devising weapons of annihilation and using them. He says man is weak. He says man is strong. He's lying.
I that neck just needs sorting out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little too fat.
I shall consider what you have said. Don't trust him.
Yeah, it's a shame though that when they use this sort of stock footage as well, that the stock footage is actually I got a feeling the stock footage is 8mm. So you've got a mixture of 8 to 16 to studio camera. So there's a lot of mixture of different resolutions going on. But it's done successfully.
Task force is in. Excellent.
Yeah, it all blends together well.
Until them carry out their orders, the attack will go ahead now.
No, please.
I wish you reconsider it. Captain Hart, I have full authority. Now, going to carry out my order, or must I replace you with someone who will? I'm sorry, Joe.
It looks a bit healthier than he did at Mestal.
Yeah. Again, I didn't find I thought the face for Mestal worked pretty well, but it's just the rest of it.
I suppose it would have been a bit too expensive to actually get the Navy to do shots like that for him.
I don't know. I mean, they were doing maneuvers when they were filming this. I mean, they give them a lot. There's you can't blame them for needing to have to go. You're gonna have to use stock footage. I mean, a lot of the stock they would have had probably from their own, from things like panorama documentaries and things like that. So, and it's probably stuff that they didn't use. Well, I always find that's an odd thing that they do. When they grab somebody, they grab them by the arms and then they go to take them out, and then they stop them so that he can have a final look before he just marches out. Like, this is it's a bit odd. Why would you just drag him? Oh, unfortunately, you can see the curtain there.
Death by polystyrene.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's just one of those things that you've got to go along with. They didn't have the opportunity to reshoot. They again, without the Navy, they didn't have anything. The Navy here made this show.
Convince the humans that their attack was being a success.
But you need binoculars to see that blast. It's blasted huge.
Take up from task force. They report bodies and debris.
Bodies?
No, this just
They only had 6 Sea Devils, by the way.
call off the attack now, sir. No, I'm not sure.
That's all they could afford was 6 outfits.
Doctor and all those sailors. You're satisfied.
There is a chance there might be some survivors. It's said to unnecessarily endanger the lives of naval personnel. Sir. Have it your own way. Make your task force. Abandon attack. Aye, aye, sir. Ceasefire.
I mean, just an incredible amount of sets.
Yeah, there's a lot of work gone into this story.
Oh, unbelievable. Crazy amount. Like I said, and the sets haven't been small either. They've been good proportionate sets that they can shoot through, not just shoot around, whereby the camera's just drifting around these rooms, but can actually shoot through the set. Give them a lot of depth.
The humans will provide. We shall attack them.
I mean, look, there's another set again.
Optimistic number one, but I admire your pluck. Like to try, sir? Good afternoon, gentlemen. Would you mind giving back your money? That is, if you want to get out. Thank you.
I've got a feeling, I'm not sure, but this episode was what, number 1972. So this would have been before, like, The Spy Who Loved Me and films like that.
Submarine operation.
Now, the guy on the left there, what did you say his name was?
David Griffin.
Yeah. We can't go back to there. God.
Well, that's it then. You came here right.
It's me typing, sorry.
Yeah. What about consequences? Yeah, I'll start.
There are plenty of David Griffins.
Best known for playing Emmett Hawksworth in Keeping Up Appearances, apparently.
Yes! Yes!
Right, short term. You want to do what it says there? That's not great consequences.
Got him.
That's the way we. Throwing a fish.
Bloody hell, he looks different now.
Yeah, I see. Not well.
Yeah, Emmett, the next one, neighbour. Yeah. And Heidi High, obviously, yeah.
Any more of them, Summers? It's all got up, Thompson. Got a bit more in it. Right, action stations. We're getting underway.
Action stations, it's been all action, all go. Since episode 1.
It ain't stopped, has it?
It's brilliant. It is very well done. Again, some of the sets are suffering now because they've blown the budget. So they are starting to get curtain-made sets.
Somebody, looks like a recapture.
Bloody hell.
So it's not moved.
That was quite an effective little...
Increased revolutions.
It's funny with some of these actors, isn't it? As soon as you find out other things you know them from, it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Again, 47 years, man. You forget, like, how the distance of time...
You know, 47 years, that's my entire lifetime. It's, you know.
Yeah.
We're still halfway in the games. To blow ourselves up. That's a risk you'll have to take. Collins, this is the captain. Load all bow tubes, open 1 and 2 bow caps.
But again, great casting. Can't fault the casting for this.
Absolutely not. In fact, I don't think I've seen a bad casting in this at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah. The letdown in this is the technology that they had to pull off the Sea Devils.
Stand by, bow sounder. Bow 1. Bow 2. Increase of force field. No use. Ready to release.
But again, I take out a rubber frog any day.
Absolutely.
Right, stand by to set.
Could have a nice CGI eye, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could. There's so much you could do with this to clean it up, to make it look pretty. And the story and the editing and the pace of it. The guy who edited this, he must have had a field day.
I think if I'd have made the Sea Devil costumes, I think I might have actually had full headpieces rather than a giant neck.
Yeah.
When I saw that thing come up there,
I mean, they were trying to change the human profile.
What idiot ordered an all-out attack just as I was on the verge of finding a peaceful solution?
I'm terribly sorry, this is Mr. Walker, the parliamentary private secretary in charge of this business. I'm the idiot you've just been talking about. Absolutely splendid lunch, old man.
Ordered the attack. Did you give any thought at all to what you do?
Our duty
Not much.
is to destroy the weak enemy. Don't you know your national anthem? Confound their politics.
So it was Martin Day.
Extremely insular point of view. Precise moment of the attack, I was negotiating a peace.
Peace? What the living attacking our shipping? Heaven alone knows what I feel. Boy, that's what you can say.
But the point, Mr. Parliamentary Private Secretary, is that you have not destroyed them. I've just made them angry. Very, very angry.
Where is his ending credits? Wow. Okay, so he didn't actually do that much in the way of. I mean, I say he hadn't done much. He did 40 episodes of Doctor Who.
Only.
Yeah. 2 episodes of the goodies. What is it? 3 episodes of Till Death Do Us Part. So yeah, he edited 40 episodes of Doctor Who, with his last one being the Time Monster. He then became producer. TX, I don't remember TX. Very serious documentary called Tickle on the Tongue. And my
Did have Ralph McTell in it? I mean, come on.
yeah.
Or would you prefer to be known as the man responsible for launching a full-scale war?
You can actually communicate with these creatures. You'd be willing to undertake the preliminary negotiations.
Not thinking of going down there. Doctor, it's far too dangerous.
My own suggestion of both. And guiding vessels still not some.
Yes, but I must say that I agree with Mr. Grant.
And with your permission,
Again, there's when you watch the Matt Smith version, whereby you see the Hungry Earth, you can see whereby they were taking these the inspirations from all that from. Yes. You see where they took the inspirations from going back and forth with the Silurians. Good enemies, good villains, good motivations as well. And that's really what you need from a villain, is to have a villain with a good motivation. And it's not just the fact that they are sea devils. It's the fact that it's the humans attacked first.
It's probably fairly true to life, mate.
It was one of those. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the different sort of Jerry Anderson stories, and one of them was Captain Scarlet. The entire plot of Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons is that we accidentally attacked the Mysterons, and the rest of the story is them retaliating. And so it's always good when these villains aren't just like the bad guys. These are just not the villain of the week, because technically the villain of the week here is the humans. Again, there's a lot of thought going into this, and the writing is cracking. They literally wrote what they wanted to see, and then somehow they managed to film it. All right, like I said, the Sea Devils don't necessarily work that well. But for the time, you can't complain.
I'll tell you what, though, the longer shots of the Sea Devils, where they're leaning forward so the neck doesn't look so big, they actually look quite effective at that distance.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. You went full on Buffy the Vampire Slayer on him. Just kicked the piss out of 2 Sea Devils. Yeah, I believe all that has been demolished now. So, Jim. Yeah, again, only 6 Sea Devils, so the same was being used over and over again.
How do you hope to achieve that? As you know, our friends here, underground and underwater bases all over.
And the one on the right there looks like he's got cataracts.
Someone's graffitied that one behind the Doctor.
I wondered why I was still alive.
Tagged him, I think the kids say.
Yeah.
Not if you value the life of every man on this base.
Good flip flopping as well with the master being able to convince the not necessarily having to lie about it, but to just twist the language so that he's able to convince the Sea Devils that humanity's in the wrong. Really, yeah. Do you think the Warriors of the Deep Samurai version is better or worse? Worse. Again, this is for me. This is a high-rated episode of Pertwee Run, just because of how well it's put together. Just the way it bolts along.
He's not going to try and trick the meeting. This could have dreadful consequences.
Again, the other thing is that the samurai version, I prefer the original concept of having the Sea Devils be less clad, not more, and I'd much prefer them to be a little bit more bare.
King Kate.
Yeah.
Well, by constructing a sonar device
I-
analogous to the laser. With this, I can not only pinpoint and revive the base by the sea fort, but every other base of the world. Your reptilian friends. No cooperation. All the equipment we need is here. I'm going to put it in debt. Do you think you do it? The circuit here is completely misplaced. Also, you'll need far more power through your main dive.
It's not much of a circuit. Unless it's written in some sort of Gallifreyan, in which case...
I think so. Time. Further to the sea.
Could have been a little bit more detailed, I think. Didn't look a little more sophisticated.
Imagine what that drawing would look like today.
again, you forget how effective Joe Grant is in these stories. She's very proactive, and as a Doctor Who companion, people talk about the modern ones because obviously the modern ones are still on the forefront of people's minds. People like Rose Tyler and that. I put Joe Grant above Rose Tyler.
I would put. I'd put most of the companions from Doctors 3 and 4 above Rose.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Sergeant, you've got Romana, you've got Joe, you've got Leela.
Liz Shaw.
Yeah, Liz. Yeah, Liz wasn't around for very long, though, was she?
No, she wasn't.
Not the most solid of window frames. I mean, all this is location, so all this is all real stuff. This is all real world equipment. Everything that you're looking at there, all those big guns, none of it's fake. It's all authentic cannons. It just looks really odd seeing the Sea Devil using the door like that. Like, I guess they must have to, but it just looks odd. Bit of tricky editor. I'm not sure what that acting choice was there.
That was the earliest dab in history.
It really was, wasn't it? It was just. Here we go. Start kicking things. If this show couldn't get any more action moving, it's about to kick it up a notch. Like I said before we started this, they haven't made. This is the most action-oriented Doctor Who episode that they've ever made, and they still haven't touched it. They still haven't. They still haven't done it. They still haven't topped it.
Output check and the input socket. That should work all right now. I'm never sure to be getting back to their base and dumped into their power system. Me? Yes, Doctor. You're coming with me. Yes, nice. What has been happening? Teething troubles, that's all. It must not happen again.
Yeah, a little bit of work, extra work on the Sea Devils, and they would have looked really. Again, these days it wouldn't be much of a problem to redo that. Not to CG it, but I mean to make a new C demo for a new episode and have them look a little bit more slick. Because it's not a bad design. It's really they haven't got a bad design. It's literally the throat where they hide in the actor's head.
Hovercrafts are brilliant, aren't they?
Oh yeah, so much fun. Everybody out. Again, all these guys are all proper Navy soldiers, Navy seamen. I love the effect of those weapons. That little fire flash.
Poor old Joe ain't even got a gun.
And again, the Havoc stunt team on this done a fantastic job. All the stunt work. Now that one there, that just fired, that was Stuart. That's the guy who's been doubling for Katie Manning.
I'm loving the Western ricochets, I must admit.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the piss there. I love that sound.
It's a good noise.
Look, we must break out of here. I've got to get this device down to your base. All right,
Again, once again, though, they only had 6 Sea Devils, so all this destruction that you're seeing is literally reusing, slight redressing, and recostuming the ones that they had.
Have you seen Captain Hart in his ground? I'm not sure. Right, I said watch it. Understanding here. I'm not the man.
Ah, so much power. Again, gentleman, total gentleman, total civility to him, and then just a slash of viciousness. It's what makes him so good as the master.
She's on the beach.
Having a picnic. It just doesn't slow down. It's brilliant. I want one of those as well.
It's like an early jet ski, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a jet ski boat. It's a jet boat, I suppose. They only used those in this. Well, they use them for a couple of reasons, but the main reason was the fact that they needed a boat that they could launch off a beach. And they do look rather sporty, like, so. Like, the dramatic action in this is just brilliant done. Obviously, Delgado couldn't do these shots because he was absolutely terrified of water. Whereas Pertwee was like in his element. Pertwee was apparently there's a part of the script whereby the Doctor was going to be water skiing, but they couldn't do it.
I'm sorry, Doctor.
Now, perhaps you'll admit I was right all along. Massive nuclear strike, it's the only way.
Not until we know what's happened to the Doctor.
I've last seen Lieutenant Scott. He says on the Doctor heading out to sea.
Gone to join his friends. Gone over to the other side.
He seemed to be chasing an
That bloke really needs a slap.
Doesn't he? It's so good. They said the casting of this is great.
Right away.
Like he is such a pompous prick.
That's that we launch a nuclear strike. Now.
Again, another new set again. Probably repurposing some of the older stuff.
So he is. Soon you will surge from the seas and your millions will exterminate him. Don't listen to him.
Neither get along with the bloody war, but Francis will be killed on both sides.
Shall destroy man and repay the planet.
Nothing I can say to make you reconsider.
Nothing.
Sorry.
Is the machine ready?
Yes.
Then activate it.
Are we not up? Want any accidents this time? Oh, it may take some time to build up.
I suggest you now dispose of this man.
It's just what I like with Delgado.
I helped you.
This is things get twisted, and he suffers the whole. He gets hoisted on his own petard. Then it's a good little character trait of the Masters that his own genius becomes his own downfall.
See before you reactivated it, I reversed the polarity of the neutron flow.
Yay!
Hey.
You realize what will happen? Oh, yes. You.
Well, there'll be a massive reverse feedback to their whole power system.
And 10 minutes from now, the whole place should go up. Enjoy your revenge.
All gone tits up and bass backwards.
I must stop your chief.
This is why I've always said that the Master is much more intelligent than the Doctor as well, because the Master devises these schemes, and it's just the Doctor. The Doctor's clever, but the Doctor couldn't devise something like this. The Doctor's just like walks in and just pours water on it. He does the Homer Simpson fixing approach.
He's the spanner chucker.
Yeah, he just literally walks in, just pours an entire bucket of water over the console, and just walks out. Whereas, the genius of the Master is to come up with these, is to invent and build these things and to put these plans and flows in motion. And Katie Manning just looks stunning in this.
See? What? Somewhere in the state. Where's my dear? Right, listen. I will capsules. Go up on this one.
Yeah, when they flit, they look a lot like Zygons.
Thank you, my dear.
escape from that place.
That's chance, I'm afraid.
Just suppose.
High-speed hovercraft over that area. I want a complete sweep before the attack. I asked.
Yeah, great use of equipment, great use of tech. Like literally using everything that they can at their disposal just because they can. You hear that pitch going up there as you say, building into the climax. Building up, building up, building up. Long incline.
They do look a bit like Zygons, don't they?
Yeah. But again, it's real world equipment.
Large underwater explosion report, sir.
Have that, fish lips.
Yeah.
And they picked up 2 survivors. One of them's in a bad way. They radioed for an ambulance to step up.
They say who?
But yeah, just very well done. And you get sharp editing.
They said someone was hurt.
The master. Perhaps you not let me this up.
Well then, Doctor, what happened?
I managed to destroy their base for you.
Thank goodness. Well done.
I did what I had to prevent the war.
Dead.
Too late. Doctor in the hovercraft said so.
What doctor?
Bye. Brilliant stuff. Very, very well done.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. And that's it. That's Doctor Who and the Sea Devils. Done. 6 episodes. Barreled on.
It's just flew past.
Just unbelievably fast. So there you are. You haven't seen that for a while, Chris. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's an absolute classic, mate. I mean, it's I don't know. There's not really many superlatives I can give it extra to what we've given it. Brilliantly filmed.
Yeah.
Really, really well acted. The castings were magnificent. As you say, all the special effects, 9 times out of 10, it was real world stuff. And as we've said, it did not stop. It was like, we're going here, we're going there, we're going here. There was no filler.
Yeah,
It was just pure action.
Yeah, and we've got Vida Prophetica, Doctor Who in Brazil. Cool. Very nice.
Yeah, I saw that earlier and had no idea what he was going on about, so I just went past it.
Yeah. Yeah, the feelings of the episode are the fact that the budget constraints of the time and the technological constraints of the time. The underwater model effects could have been done a little bit better. Just a small little tweaker, but still very effective for what they were. The sea devils with the costume with that bulky neck could have been done a little better. But again, it's a thing of its time, and you've got to take into account that it is 47 years ago. But yeah, I love the episode. I love Doctor Who and the Sea Devils. It's again, I don't think they've done another Doctor Who that's as action packed as that. It just everything is stuffed in. And I said before we started watching it that maybe it's one of those episodes that they could reduce down to a 4 episode, but I don't think there's any need because you just don't feel it.
No, having rewatched it, there was no filler. There's not really any chaff to cut out.
Yeah, anything that you edit out is just only going to leave like gaps in the not so much the plot, but gaps in the dynamics. You're going to be wondering how person A got to where they were. You know, do you know what I mean? You have a person in one place, and then all of a sudden they'd be in another place, and be like, well, why didn't they show them go in? And in this, for a 6-episode story arc, it's probably the best paced one. Because again, Terrence Dicks would always prefer to write the 4-episode story arcs because he felt that 6 was a little too long. Whereas with this felt right. This felt like the right sort of pace for it. Because it just doesn't stop. It starts within the first couple of minutes of the episode starting. You jump through about 7-8 locations within 10. Well, not even 10 minutes. Within about 5 minutes, and it just picks up. And it just doesn't stop from there. It's Barry Letts says that it's his favorite of the serials. Again, I put it very highly as the Pertwee Doctor Who run. It's that and Inferno, and where would you put it now? Now that you've seen it, where would you put that as from the classics?
It's definitely up there. It's definitely on par with, Spearhead, which is my favourite Pertwee. So I'd put it equal to that now, having watched it again after all this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were right.
It's the thing is it makes it this. But how can I put it? Now that you've seen it, maybe you can see what I'm on about. Whereby because they shot outside the studio and shot on location, how much more epic scale it looks in comparison to how it would have looked otherwise. And I don't think that they've done an episode of Doctor Who as ambitious. Maybe in terms of ambition, they've done as big an episode. But in terms of actually executing it and making it look as open world, it's probably the feelings on that side of it, of the production side of it, is probably just the lenses for the cameras, to be honest with you. A lot of it is shot in mid-shot and wide. There's very little shot in the way of close-up, except for when they need to punch in for something dramatic. Yeah, it's just extremely well put together. And again, the editor, Martin Day, he must have been having the time of his life, because this was just cut, and just absolutely just didn't stop. I think it's a brilliant episode of the Pertwee era.
I mean, you could literally cut that together to make a feature film. You know, a 2.5 hour feature film. It's that good.
Oh yeah,
and you were right. You say, I mean, the location stuff looks so good on film as it always does, and you only really notice the difference when it cuts from location to studio. If you're watching something that's completely done in a studio, you know it's in a studio, but it hasn't got that 16mm quality to show it up for what it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, the feelings of the studio shooting is simply the fact that so on the EMI 2001 cameras, again there were 4-channel cameras. They weren't 3, they were 4, and camera sensitivity at the time they were still using sort of tubes on the cameras, and the feelings on that were the fact that you kind of had a limit. So instead, these days you kind of go from a 0 to 255 in a color range. So back then you kind of did the same sort of thing, but it was a much narrower channel. So when you see like bright light white sources, what you get is that the brightest white that you can get off one of those cameras isn't quite white. And the darkest black isn't quite black. Whereas what you get with 16mm is you are recording what that film picks up. And you just get more dynamic range off the 16mm than you'd ever get off the EMI. Also, again, the 16mm is equivalent to like a 2.5 K, which is above a 1080p resolution, whereas the EMIs were literally 720 by 576 in resolution. So the matching different resolutions, and what you get from you got the grain as well with the. Again, this is what I love with the way that they shoot it, is that the look of it with the 16mm. You've got this sort of grain to the film, and it's something that's absent from digital films and digital photography. And I think it's one of the reasons why I think Quentin Tarantino loves shooting on film, is because there's this mentality where when it comes to making films and TV shows now, that you have to have the crispest, sharpest shot. And it's not about that. It's not about having the crispest, sharpest shot. It's about what it is that you actually shoot. And I think this is a great example of that. The Sea Devils didn't have the best technology. They didn't have the best costumes. They didn't have the best makeup. And yet they put together a show that is, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the best Doctor Who episodes that they've made. I would firmly put that in if I had a list of the best Doctor Who episodes and I could do a top 20, I'll guarantee you this episode would be in there. So that's where I stand on the Sea Devils anyway. Where would you put this for a if you were looking for just as the classics go? Where would you put this in terms of would this be in your top 20?
Oh yeah, definitely. It probably, after watching it again tonight, it'd probably make my top 5 now, because it's just a superb episode, and I would definitely say for me that's better than anything that they've made since they rebooted Doctor Who in 2005.
Oh, look again. When you consider the limitations that they had, which is why I said I would love to do a remaster of it. Take all the original prints, all the original films, give them a wash, give them a clean, do proper color grading to them, not to dick around with the footage, just to take things back to where they should be. Like if I can't switch this over now. Let me just put this down for a second, because if I find, I'll just show you if I can. Where have I put this? I don't know if I can do this. I'll try to do this really quickly. Show this over to one side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a quick. I'm going to take a shot from the Sea Devils, and I'm just going to color grade it just so you can see what I mean by what the failings are with the technology and how it would look. So yeah. So new adjustment layer, and if I tweak this, yeah. Yep. So just this is just sort of rough. It's just, oh God, grief. Just trying to do this on the fly, and it's it's getting there. So look, yeah.
You're building it up.
Well, it's looking. It's not much. Again, it's not like I'm altering it by a massive amount. I'm not doing anything. I'm literally taking off like the damage to the film. Well, not so much damage, but the limitations of the film, and putting it into what it should be like. So right, what I'm going to do now is, how I'm going to do this. Screen share application. There we go. I'll screen share that. There we go. So now you should be looking at the original shot of John Pertwee on the beach.
Yep.
Right. So all I've done now is I've just done a little quick color grade, and I'll just switch it on now so you can just see the difference. That's it.
Yeah, it does the job.
I mean, when I switch it off now, you'll see that behind John Pertwee, well, all of John Pertwee there, and behind him, the color, there's a lot of blue in the image, and it's because of the limitations of the film. But if you'll notice that the reds go a little bit more orange without it, and there's a lot of blue in the film. And again, you're not doing massive color grading, but it just makes the colors look more rich, look more deep. The blacks go back to black. The highlights are a bit sharper, and this is all information that's already on the film. There's no, I'm not doing anything to this to make it look. Let me just zoom in on that. Oh, it's a bit too much. But even so, you can see how, like, if I knock this off now, see how much blue?
Yeah, you can definitely see the blue on it, yeah.
You can see it in the blacks. You can see there's a lot of blue to the film. And of course, just removing that layer, it just allows for a much richer shot. All the greens go back to deep greens. The sand color is deeper. The reds, and I mean this, to have the entire episode graded like this, to me would make it look so much better. Particularly when you've got, you'd have to replace some of the shots. I think like the submarine 8mm shots that they had, the stock footage stuff. But that's really hardly anything. But I think if they could do this to the show, to this particular episode as well, and you can see it in the red of his jacket there on the red lining. If I zoom in a little bit. So if you look around his glove and everything, what I've done there, if I turn this off, you can see how this has just gone into all this sort of blue hues, and this has become a much more of a sort of purplish colour. And it's just bang, straight back. And that's how it should look, And that's purely what I would do to the episode. I wouldn't do any more than that at all. Because there's no need. There's absolutely no need. So let me just pull that up. But yeah, it's a fantastic episode. I wonder if I can do. We open up another one. Just quickly. So yeah, I'll do this one quickly as well. This is one. It's a different. So yeah, layer. So this can be the similar sort of thing. But basically, I'm just taking a good look at the histogram here. Yeah, there's a lot of green in that. Oh. Yeah, that needs the red. It's quite, again, it comes back to the fact that the people who made this really sort of knew what they were doing in terms of the fact that there's not a great deal of color correction needed. But it's just sort of color corrections based on, again, it's the limitations of what they had. So if I screen share this one, if I screen share application, share, there we go. So this is one of the ones whereby they're on the beach with a mine. And this one has, if you look at it, this one has a lot of green in the footage.
Yeah.
You can see it all there in the blacks and in the background, and it's on Joe's face. There's a lot of green there. So what I've done is I've taken that out, and it just pops it back to natural color. Again, it's not a massive amount. It's nothing crazy, but you can see the color depth there. So that's good.
Definitely makes a difference.
It does, but it's small. It's subtle. It's not in your face. Like, it's not like what I'm suggesting that they do is not what, like, with the Matrix, whereby they suddenly decide to chuck a filter over the top of it. I mean, they could do that, but it's not necessary. It's very small differences. But again, if you look at if I open this up here, oh, sorry, I want the histogram. There's the histogram, and it's quite. There's a lot of darkness there, but that's based on the limitation of the fact that they were shooting it on that day, and but the cameraman done such a decent job of how to expose for it that the histogram's quite flat. It's not bad. You know, there's still it's workable. Yeah, I mean it's that's all I'm suggesting that they do, because you can see the color difference now in things like the wires, the barbed wires pop out from the background, whereas it's a bit more blended there. And again, it just puts everything back to right. So that's what I'm suggesting that they would do with Sea Devils. That's what I would do with it anyway. That's what I think they should do, is just give it that sort of that remastering treatment. Not necessarily special edition. I mean, there are things that I would replace. Like I said, I would absolutely get somebody into rotoscope and replace those damn awful TV screens, the shutter blinds. That's just an awful effect. That is absolutely probably the worst thing in the episode.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the model submarines, although they weren't brilliant, they were nowhere near the level of Tank from Robot, and they were a lot better than the blinds on the screens, as you say.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, I'd probably all the again. I'd replace the stock footage shots because they can do better. And it's just, you know, provided that you only replace what's in the script and don't try to add more. Like, you know, you just you're replacing like for like, instead of trying to be clever and put something in that shouldn't be there. I think that would work really, really well. Again, replace the model shots. I mean, the failings of the model shots are stuff whereby perhaps they didn't have time. I don't know. I mean, clearly, given the fact that they bought the model from Woolworths, they probably didn't have that much money. So, but yeah, had they, like I said when we were watching it, had they shot it through a murky tank and had a fan on the top of the water with a lamp shining down, you have all these caustics cut in through the water to make these, you know, this light just dance through the water, and then you have the shoot through the tank to the stage behind, where they've got a smoke-filled stage with the model on. It was a little bit overlit, given that it's supposed to be the bottom of the sea and the British Isles as well. You'd be lucky if you could see that far in front of you. Well, it's true though. I mean, so it was a little bit overlit, but again, it's nitpicking a show that was made 47 years ago that moves along at a better pace than most shows do made in 2019. Because where would you? Because you said that it's probably better than some of the ones that they made today. Where would you say that this episode would rank? I mean, do you think it's better than the ones that they've done?
I think it's better. It's better in terms of storytelling and pace than pretty much everything I can think of from the modern era of Who.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to think of an episode that does move along this fast. I mean, I'm thinking of Day of the Doctor, which is the biggest one. But even then, Day of the Doctor, it didn't have that much in the way of. I don't think it had the volume of locations that this episode had. I mean, it was as ambitious as you can get, Day of the Doctor, and it was grandiose. It certainly had plenty of locations. It had plenty of sets. It was. but I don't think it utilised them as well as this episode utilised them. Like this one was shooting on sets. Like a good example here, they shot on the Seafort set. They done 2 shots on the Seafort set, which is an extensive set. You never saw it again. Throughout all 6 episodes, you never saw it again. They did the same thing with the submarine. The submarine, we only ever saw that a couple of times. It didn't turn left, journey's end. What am I looking at here? Wait a sec. Do you think the Warriors of the Vision? What am I looking at? Utopia, Last of the Time Lords, turn left, journey's end. So Utopia wasn't as big a production. It was basically they shot it in a quarry, one location. Journey's End. Again, the amount of real world stuff that they just didn't have. I mean, you talk about the variety of equipment being used. They had, ships, boats, cars, hovercraft, helicopters, submarines. There was everything in this episode. Real world stuff. Location wise, it just swapped around from everywhere. It went from naval bases to sea forts to beaches to castles. It just seaports, the whole 9 yards. This was epic skill. This was really a big episode.
Not only that, all of the supporting cast, there was not one person who was superfluous.
Oh yeah,
or bad. I mean, all right. I know they was real soldiers or real seamen, but they were acting, doing what they do. So there's no way they could cock it up. Yeah. They didn't have any lines to ham over or anything. The guy playing the politician towards the end was such an overblown, pompous prick that he played it absolutely perfectly. Like, I don't care what's happening, blow him up. He was, you got people like that then. I don't think they've had such a huge supporting cast. It's particularly in the modern day ones. They've had some big casts, but not like that, where nearly every person was important to the plot and the story development.
Yes, and that's very key to the Sea Devils, is the fact that again, when you look at how the situation unfolds, and that's what it does is unfold, is that it pretty much starts off with this really small event, which is the Master trying to escape. The Doctor goes to visit the Master's trying to escape. That's how it's just the fact that he's going to take the rest of the world with him when he goes. And it unfolds in such a way that the villains aren't necessarily the villains. It's a game of chess that goes off. I mean, at the end of the day, humanity doesn't really come out of this episode looking pretty good, because they ended up killing them, and these were innocent creatures. So, I mean, maybe it's allegorical there of what people are doing with pollution and things like that, maybe. But it certainly isn't a forefront feature of the show. It's not pushing into your face. It's certainly part of the story that these creatures that have lived on this planet for a long time are now being made extinct by man. But I mean, I'm trying to think of an episode that feels as big as this. Again, it is action orientated from start to finish. It's 2 hours, 28 minutes long. Bang! Hammers by, because it just barrels along. Episode after episode after episode, shot after shot. There's no sit down and wait for something to happen. You're not going to get bored watching this episode. There's not a scene whereby you're going to sit down and go, oh, right, okay, well, okay, this is going on. Let's move on to the next one now. It's such a fast-paced show. Again, looking at the ones that Ian's pointing out there. Last of the Time Lords Turn Up, Journey's End, action-based stories. These would be six-parters. Fair point on the vehicles. Again, it's just the fact that it just goes around all the locations. It's not even today. So one of the best ones for locations of the last season was probably Ghost Monument, which was spectacular in terms of its location choices. It just doesn't move along at this pace. Just doesn't do it. And it doesn't have the full range of vehicles that this one has. It has a very limited. This felt like a Bond film for Doctor Who. I can't think of a single episode of Doctor Who that has this much in it. And I think that's part of the failings. This was sort of helping John Pertwee live out his fantasies. And the fact that they had somebody like John Pertwee that had that in him, that he was willing to do all those things. I mean, we talked during the episode about the sword fight scene. It's literally an afternoon that they had to put that together. And, I mean, this episode has everything. I'm trying to think of something that they might have left out, but I honestly can't think of anything.
There weren't a lot missing, was there? I mean, I suppose they could have. I suppose they could have had a motorbike jumping over double-decker buses, but I don't know how to fit it into the plot.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they even had abseiling. So, I mean, they had people climbing in through windows, up ladders, down ladders. They had every sort of chase run. They had the Doctor throwing punches and beating the shit out of Sea Devils. There's fight scenes. There's ammunition going off. There's handguns. There's bloody big cannons. There's huge explosions. I mean, it's one after the other, and the way it escalates, it's. This is leading to a big climax. I'm going to guess that it doesn't disappoint. So yeah, I thoroughly. Again, that's my second favorite Pertwee episode. The first one being Inferno. I think Inferno just plays out as much of a much more fun storyline in terms of the play with the characters is more fun. But yeah, as a third Doctor story, this rocks every time, every single time. I absolutely love it. If I'm looking at my favorite episodes of Doctor Who, of the classic era, just purely the classic era, I'm still going to put Remembrance of the Daleks at my number one. City of Death is going to be behind that, I think. Yeah. I do like me. I'm gonna put in probably Tomb of the Cybermen behind City of Death. Then I'd put in Inferno, and then I'd put in Sea Devils. I think that's pretty much my top 6 episodes, I think. Yeah, I think that's probably the running order for the classics. I'm trying to think if there's another one I would put above it. I mean, we're going to be dealing with some Tom Baker episodes further on down the line. Inferno is my favorite. 2, Genesis. Genesis of the Daleks. I love Genesis of the Daleks, but I just think when you can compare production values, because again, I don't think Genesis of the Daleks has a bigger production value to like an episode like Enemy of the World, which is what the feeling is. I mentioned this when we watched Genesis of the Daleks, and that is that the feeling of that show was purely just the fact that they didn't shoot it on location. And that's the only. It's a great episode and it's fun, and I love Genesis of the Daleks, but I've got to grade these higher. These are just for the production value of an episode like this. I mean, just so enjoyable to watch. It is such a, like I said, when we watched last week's episode, whereby we were watching the Dark's Invasion Earth 350 AD, the best thing about that compared to the Harder one is the fact that you sit down, watch it, and the time just goes like that because it just sucks you in and that's what this does. This just blows it away. Was the budget on this higher than normal? Actually, it was not by much. The budget on this episode was they paid more for the Sea Devils, and that's all they paid more for. Everything else was regular. The reason why this one is more impressive is that the Royal Navy decided that we're just going to give you everything that you want. That's purely what it comes down to. They were shooting. They shot in Portsmouth because they were going to shoot up in Scotland, but the Navy said no. If you shoot down in Portsmouth, we're already going to be on manoeuvres down there. You can get a lot more in, and so pretty much everything that the BBC asked for, the Navy just gave them. They didn't even pay for it. That's why all the extras in this were actual sailors. It's because they actually didn't have the budget for extras, so the Navy told pretty much all the sailors, like, if you want to volunteer to be in this, be there in the morning, and pretty much everybody that you see show up is who showed up. When you see Roger Delgado walking through the naval base, and you get that troop of 18 walking past, and they salute him. They're genuine sailors that are doing it for nothing. That's what made this production work, and that's why at the end of the episodes you get that dedication to the Royal Navy. Is because without them, this would have been shocking.
It certainly wouldn't have been as epic as it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I'm trying to think of. This is the biggest epic scale Doctor Who episode. I can't honestly. I'll go back to what I said. I can't think of one that's bigger in terms of scale, in terms of the fact that they rocked around the locations like nobody's business, that they were jumping continuously from one to the other, all with proper, full, rounded characters, background characters. When they jump to the submarine, you literally, they're dealing with a situation on board the submarine that's been attacked by the Sea Devils. The full range. The fact that they end up going to the Sea Devils base as well. It's just one location after the other, and it just doesn't stop. And it's an amazingly. I mean, who wrote it? Michael? No, it was Hulk, wasn't it? Not the Incredible Hulk, but an Incredible Hulk.
Well, he smashed it anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna have a quick look here.
It was definitely better than I remembered. I knew it was a good episode anyway, or a good serial anyway. But yeah, watching it again today reminded me of how good it was.
I tell you what it's done for me watching it, because I probably watched this when I bought the DVD. I probably watched it a couple of times since, but what I tend to do normally is I'll start my, like, say I want to do a Seventh Doctor. I'll start at time in the Rani and work through to Survival. So that's what I tend to do, is watch the Doctors as sort of the entire run. And that was probably when the last time I watched this, and it was probably when I was probably working on something at the time and just having it on in the background. It's surprising, again, for something that's 47 years old. This is Doctor Who does Mission Impossible. This is, and again, you you couldn't have done, even Mission Impossible wasn't doing this. We compared it. This is why people compare it to sort of James Bond, and that's because look at the scale of this. It's got the scale of For Your Eyes Only. It's literally, okay, they had to shoot in Portsmouth because they couldn't afford to go to the Rock of Gibraltar or something like that. But at the same time, they utilised all the facilities that they had at their disposal. I don't think there's anything they could have put in to this story that that would have benefited it. So yeah, Malcolm Hulk. There we go. That's who wrote. Is it Hulky? I'm not sure.
Hulk works.
Yeah. So. Okay, but he's written some other big stories. The last one he wrote was Deep Breath. So he also, oh Jesus God. So the name of the Doctor, Wedding of River Song, A Good Man Goes to War. A Mike Merker. A sec. Let me just. So the big episodes that people talk about with Doctor Who, he's pretty much written. He also wrote Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I mean, look, this guy's writing credits. The Avengers. I mean, I can see it totally. Danger Man, The Protectors. Man, this guy knows how to write action. Just
You still talking about Malcolm Hulk?
yeah.
Did you say he wrote Deep Breath?
Looking at this,
He died in 1979.
he's credited. He's credited with the characters.
Oh, credit with the characters, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, same as the characters in Good Man Goes to War. He's characters for the Silurians.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he wrote Avengers. He wrote. Yeah, it's going with 53 episodes of Doctor Who. So I'm just waiting for it to load because it's showing me all 53 episodes. It's just because Man of Astra pops up in Deep Breath. They do it a lot with these linked credits. They try to link as many. Oh, good grief. Why? Let's close that. I'm just trying to get some. I'm just trying to get a look at the episodes that he's written. Oh, no, it's dying. It's running out of power. There we go. That's the end of that. Yeah, I mean, I wish that they would turn Doctor Who up a notch like this. Like they've got the production values for locations and things like that. Not all stories have to be like this, but there's an element of fun introduced into the action of this show. Again, the swashbuckling, the gunfights, I mean, I don't know how much you'd be able to show these days. I don't think you. It's very rare that you have a Doctor Who. They're quite finicky about fighting. I think maybe that might turn around a little bit. I don't know, but they're quite prudish about showing that sort of violence on screen. I mean, personally, I think that you do all works, and yeah. Next week, of course, we're doing the Image of Fendel, which I called Curse of Fendel.
You got it mixed up with Femric, didn't you?
Yeah, well, again, it's not that I do think Image of Fendel does sound like a catalogue. It's so yeah, where we going? Ian's just posted up the Faceless Ones, the War Games, Doctor Who and Silurians, the Ambassadors of Death, Testex, Trevor Ray, Colony in Space, yeah, Frontier in Space, Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Yeah. I mean, this guy, but I mean, you look at his IMDb on his work history of the shows that he's written. The fact that he wrote episodes of the Avengers and the Protectors, it's understandable where he's able to write action. And cracking, absolutely cracking, thrilling. Great stuff all around. So yeah, next week is going to be Image of Fendel, whereby we'll talk about that next week when it comes to there's a bit of Image of Fendel whereby when we were watching when I was watching Voyage of the Damned and I saw the angels there, I thought maybe they were going to do a callback in that episode and it wasn't, and I was kind of disappointed. But then we had Kylie Minogue in a waitress outfit, and I was kind of like, okay, bonus. But yeah, I'm thoroughly happy that we sat down and watched Sea Devils. I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, definitely a good choice.
Yeah. So next week we'll be doing an Image of Fendel. The week after that, though, I think we're going to do Doctor Who Battlefield, the 7th Doctor. Because it's one that doesn't get much in the way of viewing, and it's one that I think that it deserves a second look. I think. Doctor Who in the late 60s, titled Journey into Time, was also produced. However, the recording is now lost. But Holocaust was. Oh, right, okay. So he wrote the pilot for the planned radio series, with Peter Cushing, and it didn't pan out. But yeah, it's a shame because what he wrote for particularly for this was great, and again it was interlaced really well with all the characters. It was back and forth. There was no wasted time, and I said, maybe they should have cut it down a little bit to shorten it from 6 to 4. There's no way. I mean, the only time I've seen somebody do that was when they done the theatrical cut of Watchmen compared to the director's cut of Watchmen. And I've got to be honest, when I saw that, I saw the director's cut of Watchmen first, and then I couldn't understand what the hell they could cut out of the film. I was baffled at the fact that how could you take 45 minutes out of this movie to a theatrical cut when there's nothing here to take out. And it's the same with Sea Devils. There's nothing you can take out. There's stuff you could change. There's stuff that you could swap around. There's stuff that you could replace, but remove, no. As a 6-episode story, it's probably the best 6-episode story as well. I don't know of another 6-episode story that does that. I'm trying to think. Chris? Any preferences for the larger episodes, for the longer running episodes?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say Genesis of the Daleks. I mean, you know that, I know that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, Genesis. Look, I take nothing away from Genesis of the Daleks at all. It's a fantastic by a long shot. It's a very popular. It's a very popular Doctor Who episode with fans. But I mean, like, War Machines is what, 11 episodes? War Games, I mean. And of course, it results in the Time Lord showing up for the first time. That's pretty good, but that does feel padded. There's a lot of, and now they get caught. This doesn't. There's like one scene where the Doctor's captured. Maybe 2. Well, but he's pretty much in control the entire time. So it's God.
I don't think any of the other longer stories move along. Even Genesis, that's a slower story. Nothing moves along like this one does.
Yeah, oh no, this is a bullet out of the gun. This is absolutely amazing. Good God, they're a slower episode. They're 45 minutes long. I mean, it's like, again, you go from this, but this is what I was saying before. You go from an episode like this to an episode like Castrovalva, and this is my problem with episodes like that, whereby you've got, and it's understandable why they wanted to do that episode, because they wanted to sort of, it was a master episode, it was a master versus doctor, it was about playing one off against the other. The Doctor spent a lot of that episode asleep, and in this,
he did, but that episode still moved along in a much better way than.
Have you seen the remaster?
The conundrum episode from the latest series.
Yeah. Have you seen the remaster that they've done for Castrovalva?
No.
So they've done a Blu-ray remastered for, I think it was a season 19, and some guy has put a show reel working on Castrovalva, and they've replaced a lot of the shots, like the 2D shots have been replaced with like 3D models and stuff like that. The things like the TARDIS screen has been rotoscoped and redone, and then he's done a matte painting of Castrovalva, and it all looks good until you see the matte painting of Castrovalva, and then he's like, Oh dear. It's good, it's nice. I'm not sure it's better. I'll see if I can find it actually. Just so you can see before we wrap this up. Search for Castro GTX. What have I spelled? Oh, good grief. Well, I saw this. This is going to take longer than I thought to find. Come on, you swine. Where are you? Aha! So, they've done a good job. I'm just going to do that. Which one is it? Which one? Oh, I've moved stuff around. Stop. There we go. Application window, share that. So, yeah. So this is the Casserole remastered, where they've altered some of the effects. Some of them do look nice. Like, you can clearly see how much more improved this shot is, particularly around the hair. So all these shots now have been replaced. It looks pretty good. And then you get that, and it's just like, what the hell is that? I mean, it's almost great, but it just looks like a matte painting. I'm just running this along. I like some of the stuff that they've done, like this, where they're doing the whole bit where it's all a labyrinth. That looks fantastic. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying about the matte shot. It's not really an improvement, is it?
Yeah, the guy put in a lot of effort into that, and it didn't quite. Like some of the other shots look fantastic, and particularly the mastering shot of the blue screen. That looked really good, but is Castrovalva worth it?
Clearly was to that chap.
Camelot. It could have been done. Like I said, when you see the replacement shot, so yeah. I mean, I can understand the necessity to replace it. Where am I going? Here. Screen share. I'll share it once more, just so you can see it. I mean, that's the original, and that's the new. Now, it's more detailed than the original, but does it look more real?
No, it doesn't. It is more detailed. I mean, all right, it's a better picture, but it looks like a picture.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. It is that it's still doesn't quite look like a real. It still looks like something that you'd expect to find in a matte painting shot from, say, Wizard of Oz. But it's a shame because, like I said, the way that they do. Oh shit! What's happened there? The way that they've done this, redone this shot. Like if you look at the fringing around his hair there, and then when you see the new one, it's a much softer blend. So there's massive improvements in some of these effect shots. It's just now this one is what I also disagree with as well because and I'll explain why. So he's looking at the view screen there. You can see the space shot, and then it does this, and you see this vortex. It's almost an improvement, and I say that because visually it's an improvement. The problem here is that what he hasn't done VFX wise is added a purple hue onto this set here. Because if this is producing this purple light here, or this lavender color light here, it should be spilling onto the set. And it's not. And that's why this doesn't quite work as a... And it's also a sharper image than this. So, and it's the same with... this is quite... That's not a bad one. Again, it shouldn't be this sharp. You've got to look at how sharp this is here of like Tegan and match that. It's nice, but it needs to be taken down. It needs to be taken back.
Have they done that for every single story on episode 19 in that box set?
I don't know. I know this is just the Castrovalva VFX. Like I said, does his coattails hang down when he's levitating? No. No, they don't. It's just Peter Davison lying on a blue plank.
Now that's a sentence I wasn't expecting to hear this evening. Peter Davison lying on a blue plank.
Like I said, there's something like I said when the Castrovalva breaks into the paradox. That's done really well. That's using a lot of modern effects to junk it all up. That's really nice. I don't think it's great though, but again, I don't think the episode is worthy of it being given this sort of treatment anyway. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
Tell David Cameron that.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
He said quickly.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice, I suppose, but is it gonna be justified? Because I don't know. I haven't looked it up. Any idea how much season 19 costs? Because they've done this weird thing whereby they're not releasing them in order. Season 19, Doctor Who, £47. You see, that's all going to be upscaled. Oh, that's not worth it. That's a to go from DVD to Blu-ray. From again, most of it's recorded on 720 by 576. To stretch that to, I mean, they've gone back to the original tape, But even so, the original tape is. I don't believe. I'm going to just have a quick look. EMI. I want to see what the maximum resolution on this camera was when recording directly to tape. Relatively high. 30mm tubes, relatively high resolution. No, nothing there.
I'll be honest with you, looking at the prices, $47.99 for season 19. Or there's the Amazon exclusive for 37 quid, the whole of series 11. So I think I'd rather add a tenner and buy 19 myself.
I mean that's preference thing, but I don't think it's going to be worth it. Not for Blu-ray.
No, it's not. No, I wouldn't pay if I owned them all on original DVD. I wouldn't pay 48 quid just to go up to full HD.
That's my problem with it. Is the fact that you'd have to, and again, you're going up to HD for something that wasn't recorded in HD. That's the real problem I've got. Is the fact that, oh shit, I just closed the window. Never mind. Yeah, I wouldn't pay for it because again, it wasn't recorded in that format to begin with. It was recorded in SD, and it was upscaled to DVD. Well, I don't think it was. I think it was just transferred to DVD, but now it's been upscaled to Blu-ray. It's not meant to fit that format. Again, if we were talking about something like when they done Spearhead from Space, when they converted that to Blu-ray, very different case, because that was shot on 16mm, so it was already recorded in a higher resolution than Blu-ray. 16mm, if you look at 1080p as being 2K, 16mm is 2.5K. So it's already a bigger format. So it's still, well, by converting it to Blu-ray, it's still being shrunk down to the Blu-ray size. Whereas with the EMI format, 720 is 576p as opposed, and that's being stretched to 1080p. So it's being pretty much doubled in size. You can't do that without losing some form of information. There's going to be blanks of information that they just fill in. Now, upscaling is pretty good, the way that they do it these days, but you can't fill in twice the amount of information. You can't make up that information. Do you know what I mean? It's going to look softer. It's going to look as it does, and given that it doesn't appear that they've done color correction to it as well, what is the point of this? I get why they've done it for Blu-ray, but they just flog in the same horse. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Ian's still with us. I don't know what his opinion is on whether or not he would buy season 19. For my personal opinion, I've got season 19 I on DVD. They haven't changed enough of the format for me to go, oh right, okay, I'm going to buy that. I'm quite happy to not buy it. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we've got anything else to also get. No, I like kinda. What? No, I like kinda and Kinder. I thought you specified it wrong then. Oh god. I like Kinder Nad Earth Shock. Don't have a Blu-ray player. Earthshock is great, and I like the special edition of Earthshock. I thought that what Rob did, the work that Rob did on Earthshock, I thought was brilliant. I think Rob's best work though on enhancing Doctor Who was what he done on Enlightenment. Earthshock's great anyway. But again, you're not going to be getting anything extra from having it on Blu-ray. If you've got it on DVD, you've got it. The cleanup that they've done is great, but again, they've stretched an image and then they've tried to fill in the blanks with that image. They haven't done anything amazing, and again, they haven't tried color grading it or they've done some replacements. But like I said, some of the replacements are just literally a replacement. It's not, and they haven't tried blending it very well. Like I said, that one with the where they cut the screen and they put that lavender effect behind it, that they didn't make any attempt to light the rest of the set to make it look like it was integrated into the set. It just looked like an effect on the screen. So for me, I can live without that sort of stuff. Like we just sat through Doctor Who and the Sea Devils, and I can put up with those sorts of costumes and effects because it's such a good episode and such a good story. I don't need people to jangle the keys in front of me. I can quite happily take a story for what it is. Unless anybody else has got anything left to add, I'm going to call it quits and just say that next week we've got Image of Fandle, and which is quite a nice story. And then after that, the week after that, then we're going to do Doctor Who Battlefield. And any suggestions you've got for any other episodes would be greatly appreciated. I don't know if you've got anything to add, Chris?
Well, another one of my favourites is the horror of Fang Rock. Be nice to squeeze that one in. Obviously, when we've done a few in between the Tom Bakers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's again, I'm going to say, I'm going to throw in my hat in City of Death. If we're talking Tom Baker episodes, I would like to do an earlier Doctor as well. So I would like to squeeze in a Patrick Troughton or a William Hartnell.
I'll tell you what would be interesting for William Hartnell.
Yeah.
If we was to revisit the episodes that we watched the Peter Cushing film remakes for at some point, at least one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's perfectly viable. But I'm thinking of like, oh god, good grief. I mean, I would love to do Space Museum and the Chase from William Hartnell. Any Patrick Troughton, just give me Patrick Troughton.
But we've got yet to do the Macra Terror remake that we've spoke about a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean we could do Macra Terror. I'd be happy to sit through that again. Because that was so well done. So yeah, after Battlefield, it's a bit of open play. I mean, we can still do Modern Who as well. There's nothing about that says that we can't do an episode of Modern Who. It's great that we're doing the classics, but we've got to remember that it is all one. So, any modern that you fancy?
Oh, modern.
Don't just think of favourites. Think of ones that maybe you've neglected as well.
I'm not going to say Love and Monsters, no matter what you fucking say.
I'm not going to watch it.
I'm just thinking now. There's a there's a couple with Captain Jack in
Right.
that were quite good. Tooth and Claw actually would be a good one to watch. Is that a fan favourite? It's a good episode, if I remember.
I mean, yeah, that's the one with the werewolf and the castle and Torchwood and I haven't seen Tooth and Claw in a while. I think so. I the ones that normally like I said, the episodes that get overlooked. For me, I think episodes like The Long Game, which tend to be totally overlooked. Forget. We're not watching Fear Her. World Enough in Time. That's Peter Capaldi, the recent one. That's not bad. I love that episode. I tell you what, right, what I'm thinking is that if we are going to do something like that, World Enough in Time, is that what I would like to do is to do the 10th planet first, and then do World Enough in Time, and then do Twice Upon a Time. What do you think of that?
Well, that works for me.
I mean, it's just because that it's one that leads straight into the other, and if we are going to do something that goes from that deal, because it's great to have the sort of tie-ins that are in those shows, but I think it would be great to have the whole arc then. So you get the 10th planet with Cybermen, you get the Mondasian Cybermen again, and then you get Twist Upon a Time, which is sort of the culmination of it. So yeah, I'm trying to think another episode that might get overlooked. Modern Who episodes.
Modern Who. I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind watching again. Once we've had a bit of a gap between all our Dalek stories, is Manhattan and Evolution, which is a nice little two-parter.
Oh, good grief! Yeah, yeah. Again, that's one that I think gets overlooked. I think people do when they talk about great episodes of Modern Who. I think that those are episodes that get mentioned with Dalek stories, but don't really get sort of thrown in with. Oh, this is a good episode. It tends to get blown over.
I'm still going to throw a vote in for Scream of the Shackler.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I need to get a piece of paper and a pen, and we're gonna have to start making a list. So for right now, it's going to be Image of Fendel and then Battlefield. And then after that, we are quite open. I would like to do something from either Hartnell or Troughton after that, and then we can do plenty. But there's lots of time yet. There's plenty more because every Sunday is Doctor Who Day. So next Sunday, 8 p.m, Image of Fendel, and I think that's where I'm going to leave that. That is this day done.
Brilliant.
Broadcast. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully you'll join us next week where we'll be doing more Doctor Who. Thank you for joining us in the chat as well, Ian as well. Take care.